All right, just a few case study notes. It is Thursday, April 2nd, 2020 at 10:28 p.m. So, it's been very fascinating. I've been experiencing what I believe would be a left and right brain experience independently, and to be fully lucid and fully present and have all amnesic barriers broken down so that I can observe both fully consciously and compare notes between the realities is truly a profound trip. Like the most wild experience of a lifetime. When I'm in what I would describe as a right-brained experience of consciousness, everything is energetic, everything has connotations, everything has feeling, everything has dynamic depth. The visuals are so stimulating. Like imagine the difference between just looking at a regular picture and then looking at like an animated 3-dimensional hologram of that picture. It's that kind of a difference where everything just has a deeper depth, a greater sense of dimension to it. Like the dimension of experience is amplified in my right brain, or in these right-brained experiences of consciousness, which is how I'm describing them. But I really have no idea what it would like come up with on like an fMRI scan. But maybe someday I will. And so the visuals are very, very stimulating, very satisfying. Like when I'm in what I describe as a left-brained experience of consciousness and I watch a bird flying overhead, for example, it's just like a bird flying overhead. Period. End of story. But when I'm in a right brain experience, it's like, oh my gosh, look at the body, look at the wings, look at it take flight, look at it move from point A to point B, look at it against the backdrop of the sky. Like there's so much dynamic depth to the experience, visually and emotionally. And so the visuals are very enhanced in a very profound and satisfying way. Like very satisfying. Like looking at nature is so satisfying. Like there's so much to take in. But when I'm not in that state of consciousness, it's just like, it's nature. Okay. Like there's nothing that like makes it a big deal. So visuals and then emotions. This is like the most profound experience of a lifetime. When I'm in what I would describe as a left-brained experience of consciousness, I don't have emotions. Like at best, I might get slightly irritated at something. And that's like it. Like there's no depth to emotion. And when I talk, I'm not animated like this. I'm just like, yes, that is correct. Everything comes out quite robotic, and I'm just a person, and I'm just here, and I'm just doing the things. And like, there's no like pizzazz. And there's no emotional connection. Like we went for a walk with our mom and her dog tonight. And normally it would be like, oh, I get to get out in nature and I get to be with my mom who I love, and I love her dog Duke, and he comes up and he jumps on me and he says hi, and I get really excited and I greet him and I hug him and I kiss him and we have a good time. But in this left brain experience of consciousness, there was nothing special about it. And Duke the dog would jump on me and I would just look at him like, get off. Like there was just no emotional connection whatsoever. And it's fascinating because everything was so logical and so linguistic and non-emotional that my brain would draw these conclusions. And I would go to this place of thinking, this must be what an integrated brain feels like. This must be us healing, and this is me integrated, and now I no longer age regress, and I'm no longer multiple persons, and this is just who I am now. Like, very logical, very matter of fact, point blank. And it was so fascinating because so often, okay, so in the right-brained experience, my thoughts are filled with images and emotions. And there's just this like flowing kaleidoscope of images and like sensations and like feelings. And in a left-brained experience of consciousness, my thought forms are like typing on a computer. I am happy. This is what happiness feels like. Like, so robotic. Like, I could see and hear or read or whatever. I guess it was more just thinking. I wasn't actually seeing the words, because visuals are the right brain thoughts. So I wasn't seeing the words. I was just thinking them, like a voice in my mind. I guess that's how I would describe it. Like a voice in my mind, like I am talking here, but inside of my head. Okay, so instead of this swirling kaleidoscope of images and feelings and sensations being my thought forms were a narrative voice. Wouldn't it be cool to study the neuroscience of where different types of thoughts come from in our actual brain? That would be so cool. So anyway, art of allowing. So normally when I think affirmations, there's something that like comes up with them. Like there's an image or a feeling or a sensation. But tonight on this walk, where I was in a left brain experience of consciousness, my thoughts were just a voice. And there were no emotions. And there were no images. And there were no sensations. And I was like, oh my gosh, my mind is so quiet. It's so boring. I was like, oh my God, there's so much order and there's so much ability for influence and even control, but this is so boring. And I was like, if this is just who I am now, this is going to be a really boring life. And then I realized I was just disconnected from my other brain hemisphere. So I tapped into my emotions again. But it's so fascinating because it really does seem like a right and left brain experience without integrated contact with the other side. Like when I'm in a right brain experience of consciousness, all I care about is the experience of the present moment. Nothing else exists, and all I care about is how life feels. I don't care what else is happening. I just care how I feel in the experience. And when I'm in a left brain experience, I couldn't care less about the feeling of this experience. I couldn't care less about the present moment. It's all about an agenda of how I get from point A to point B. Totally opposite. Totally opposite. And that's why, like, our priorities are so hard to stay continuous with. Because when I'm in a right brain experience, I'm just like, life is good. My only job is enjoying the power of the now. And whatever that looks like is fine. As long as I'm feeling good and being here, that's it. That is life. And then when I'm in a left brain experience, I'm like, the power of the now is in the ability to achieve all of my goals. Where's my to-do list? Like, it's a completely opposite experience of consciousness. And I very rarely experience them working together. It's always one or the other. And this became extravagantly obvious when yesterday, Earlier in the day, I was in what I would describe as a right-brained experience of consciousness, and when I would walk, my left arm would be swinging as I had conscious present with it, and my right arm was completely still by my side. There was no consciousness going on naturally in my right arm. And then after my chiropractic treatment, where we did a bunch of brain and body stuff, including right brain stuff with the mirror and right brain stuff with the ventricle oxygenation stuff to increase flow of cerebral spinal fluid, I think it was actually. Not oxygen explicitly. So anyway, after chiropractor, I came home and it was the opposite experience. All I wanted to do was get stuff done. And when I would walk, my right arm would be casually swinging with conscious presence, and my left arm was stagnant and completely still by my side. My theory is that my consciousness experiences my brain hemispheres one at a time, most of the time. And I don't even know how to describe that in terms of dissociation. If dissociation is a disconnection within the neurophysiological applications of consciousness, this would be like the most profound and simultaneously covert form of dissociation. Because a lot of people can shift back and forth between like, I'm carefree and I'm having fun and I'm like letting my feelings loose and okay, it's time to get stuff done. But those aspects of consciousness generally have continuity with one another. They know about each other. They agree and they can get along. But when I'm in a left brain state of consciousness or experience of consciousness and I look at what the right brain's been up to, there's judgment. It's like, that painting is silly. It doesn't serve a purpose. And that art thing, that looks like a waste of time. What are you actually achieving with that? And simultaneously, or similarly, the right brain will totally judge what's going on in the left brain. Like if I'm in a right brain experience and I'm just flowing, I'll look at the goals of the right brain and be like, why are you working so hard to get somewhere else? Here is awesome. And there's judgment. There's judgment between my two brain hemispheres. And they both think the other one is ridiculous. They both think the other one is absolutely ridiculous. And then another way this shows up is my right brain is all about feeling and expressing feelings. Like all I want to do is feel deeply and express the feelings, or feel the feelings and think about expressing them to myself, kind of a thing. All about feeling deeply and expressing that to myself and or others. And a left brain would look at the right brain and be like, oh my goodness, you're out of control. Like, tuck those things in, why don't you? Like, you look ridiculous right now. Like, why are you just like feeling everything and sharing that with everyone? Like, contain yourself. And similarly, right brain will look at the left brain and be like, oh my gosh, you are so boring. You are lifeless. You feel nothing. My brain hemispheres totally judge each other. Oh, that is too epic. Another way this shows up is we have this ritual where we record our moments of happily ever after. And so we're filling it out while in a left brain dominant experience. We're just like, this is ridiculous. If I'm going to write something down, why wouldn't it be something related with my goals and being productive? What's with all of this color? this is ridiculous. Like, what do you actually intend to do with this? What purpose does this serve? Or is just you being silly? Like, why am I going backwards, reminiscing on the day? Why am I going backwards to focus on happiness and record it in color? This seems ridiculous. And then the right brain's like, look at all the happy times. Look at all the color. Another great example is left brain is like, I've written so many incredible things and they're so powerful and my voice deserves to be in the world and I want my name to get really big and I'm going to research all of these awesome publications and I'm going to submit my articles and it's going to be awesome and I'm really excited about this. And then my right brain is like, so many steps. I don't understand the order. This doesn't seem that important or that fun. That's exactly what was happening. I'm trying to figure out the order or whatever. The right brain got overwhelmed, swamped with emotions, and said, this goal is not that important. All I want is happiness now. Left brain is like, I don't care about the feelings. I don't care about the present moment. I have stuff to do. And these aspects of consciousness are separate people. They're separate people in my body. And so imagine two people getting together and it's like, okay, get this one job done. And they're both like, but we've got different ways of going about it and different ways of perceiving it and different everything. Like, how on earth do you expect us to get it done while working simultaneously at it? Like, this doesn't seem possible. That is what's happening. It's not like I have parts, but it's not the same as the way other people have parts. Other people's parts are part of the same person. My parts are not part of the same person. Oh my god. My brain hemispheres are different people. They're different people. Not just different aspects of personality, like the average person. Different people. Oh my god. So yeah. I don't even know what integration looks like. I don't even know anything. And that's okay. Because I don't need to know it. Because this is awesome. And all is well. And all is gravy. And we're allowed to be who we are. Blah, 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 blah. But trust the ever-evolving process of my infinite becoming. Exercise is another great one. Right brain has no interest in exercise. Only cares about the feeling of the experience, does not care about long-term goals. Left brain is all about the exercise, all about letting go of how it feels immediately to focus on a long-term goal, which would be, fitness and health or abs or, whatever it is. Exercise is one. Eating is one. Right brain is all about the feeling. So, add the seasonings, add the barbecue sauce, add the, whatever. Have a sugary snack once in a while. And left brain is like, no sugar, no seasonings, vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. Right brain is like, I don't like vegetables unless there's a bunch of flavor on it. Totally different experiences of consciousness. I literally do not feel like the same person in that state and that state. They feel like there's zero continuity of consciousness. I feel like a completely different person in the way I perceive myself, and the way I perceive the world around me, and the way I experience my own body. Like, all of it feels different. Another fascinating thing was that in a left brain experience of consciousness, I was able to hear my stomach growl, which I don't seem to experience in a right brain experience of consciousness. I'm really curious about that. Maybe it's because I feel it instead of hearing it. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind, theorizing that like makes sense with everything I know. But, you know, there seemed to be a more natural mind-body connection, but with less feeling about the experience or something. I don't know. Another possibility, though, is that in a right brain experience of consciousness, I would feel my hunger internally or feel whatever's going on and respond to it. Whereas left brain, I wouldn't necessarily feel it. I would wait until there was a more explicit way of tuning in. It goes back to the explicit and implicit external internal realities. Left brain, I'm great at getting stuff done. I'm great at moving around in this physicality. It's all very robotic and not animated, automatic. Like, I think about doing something and I can just do it. There's no feeling. Step by step, things make sense. The linearity of things makes sense. The process of things makes sense. And in a right brain state, I can dream limitlessly, but I cannot do diddly squat to make it something in physicality. Like, this seems like the most overwhelming, daunting thing in the world. Like, I will dream up worlds of worlds of worlds and teleport to multi-dimensional places and have so many experiences in an energetic reality of my own creation of consciousness. But oh my gosh, how do you put a sheet on a bed? Like, like, so many superpowers. So wild. So my theory is that my brain hemispheres house different persons, and my theory is that this would show up on an fMRI scan. My theory is that in these individualized experiences of consciousness, like right now, I'm in what I would describe as an integrated experience of consciousness, because I'm verbally articulating things and this and that, which is left brain. And simultaneously, I'm feeling emotions and this and that and whatnot. And so I have all these different experiences of consciousness, but my theory is that in a dominantly right brain or left brain experience of consciousness, it would show up with the activity on an fMRI scan. And I'm at a point now where I know what things activate them. And I could activate them in like a research thingy with like a neuroscientist and like machine thingies. Oh, what a trip of a life. So anyway, left brain, right brain, they do not see eye to eye. They do not get along. They each have their own abilities and superpowers and personal preferences and struggles and weaknesses. And it's the two banks of a river of well-being, the two banks, rigidity and chaos, left brain and right brain. And well-being is learning to float down the river of well-being without bumping into either bank. So what do you do? What do you do when your brain hemispheres are not naturally integrated? You create your own balance of order and allow for a little bit of artistic chaos. That's what I'm leaning on. Anyway, case study notes. It's now 10:52 on Thursday, April 2nd, 2020. Kristin Windsor and all miracles of consciousness in the Dream Team Collective signing off.